Well, good afternoon, everyone. The March 4th, 2025 meeting of the Seattle City Council will come to order. It is 2:03. I'm Sarah Nelson, Council President. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Saka. Here. Councilmember Strauss.
Present.
Councilmember Hollingsworth.
Here.
Councilmember Kettle. Councilmember Moore.
Present.
Councilmember Rink.
Present.
Councilmember Rivera. Councilmember Kettle.
Here.
Council President Nelson.
Present.
7 present.
All right, I'm not aware of any presentation for today, so colleagues, at this time we'll open the hybrid public comment period. Public comment is limited to items on today's agenda, the introduction and referral calendar, and the council work program. I am checking to see how many people are signed up today. 5 people in person and how many in two remote. We'll give everybody 2 minutes, please, and let's start with let's just get through all of the in-person speakers. And I note that Councilmember Rivera has just joined us.
Jody, did you want to read the instructions?
Thank you. I lost my mute button. Speakers will be called in the order in which they're registered. Speakers will hear a chime when 10 seconds are left of their time, and speakers' mics will be muted if they do not end their comments within the allotted time to allow us to call on the next speaker. Each speaker gets 2 minutes.
We're going to start with Robert Reed. After Robert will be Ann Glover, and following Alex Zimmerman. So, Robert?
Is it working?
Yes.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being city council members. I really appreciate the work that you guys are doing. My name's Robert Reed. I'm from Tree Action, Seattle. And I'm still here to let you know that we're still all about the 6 amendments to the One Seattle plan. It's all about the trees, the birds, the humans, affordable housing, parks for everybody, and the community centers in every neighborhood center, all 30 of them. We're also here in support for the social housing developer. We will really want to get behind them. If you guys would like us to show up and give you a presentation about our 6 amendments, we'd be happy to do so. We'd answer any questions that you might have. That's it.
Thank you.
Ann? Is it Ann Glover?
Oh, sorry. I cannot believe this. I apologize. Of course, that would happen. Hi, I'm Ann Glover, and I'm here because I've lived in Seattle most of my life. I'm here to address the council. Seattle has become chaotic for me. It's become a place that I don't even know. It's become dangerous. I've got people who pretend to, just a couple days ago, someone pretended to be a police officer and arrest me. And I figured out at the last minute when they asked me to get Bitcoin that it wasn't a police officer. I didn't know that I was going to speak today. I came in just to find out what was what, but you were having a meeting, so I decided to come in. I'd just like to let you know that it's become unbearable for me to live here, because everywhere I go, I bring a crowd. And most of that crowd are stalkers who are pretending to be police officers. They usually drive white cars. And that's all that I have for now.
Alex Zimmerman?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Heil, thief, bandita, and killer. My name Alex Zimmerman. I'm president of Stand Up America, Trump supporter for 10 years every my election, and I'm mega member. I want to speak right now about people, what is your Church for Human Rights Commission. My experience with Human Rights Commission for last 20 years, probably 100, close. So last week, for 3 months, I talking about investigate disability accommodation, come manager Chen. He told me, no, you cannot qualify. The same man who for 20 years, 20 my cases, include 18 trespassers, never answer. It's a critical point what is we have right now with government. You doing nothing for changes. Mayor work in this place for 20 years. For 40 years, there's only one mayor, what is I know for 40 years, who never have one Q&A. Is 7th floor closer. You change this? No. Why? Because you by definition bandita. So it's exactly what the Seattle need right now. It's exactly why I'm talking for dozen years, you know what it means? We need a dodgy. We need somebody who will clean us government. We have too many crook who you pay a ton of money, you don't doing nothing. Reason for this, open better room in City Hall. So every one time per week for 3 minutes, people can talking without all control. You understand what this means? Where is these people who you appointed? They not here. We don't know about them, nothing. Same happened with government you represent. You nothing changed for last 20 years. Nah, you same crook like before. Viva Trump, viva New American Revolution. We make America great again.
Can I move on to remote speakers?
A reminder to our remote speakers that after you've heard the message that you have been unmuted, to please press *6. Our first remote speaker is Alberto Alvarez, followed by David Haynes. Go ahead, Alberto.
Seattle's pay-up provided tens of thousands, provided tens of thousands of gig workers with the time needed to stay healthy, recover from illness, and the peace of mind that their financial well-being would not be severely impacted for simply taking care of themselves or loved ones. Last week, the Seattle Office of Labor Standards published their year in review for 2024. In their data, they highlight financial remedies for Seattle workers last year, listing paid sick and safe time to gig workers at around $774,000 for last year. There is more information from OLS to publish, most likely by summer. For now, this is one of the first data points available which showcase how PayUp has successfully provided tens of thousands of hardworking delivery drivers with tangible benefits, worker protections, and stable income. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. And our last remote speaker will be David Haynes. David, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. David Haynes. You can tell that the mayor has been doing a really bad job in improving the community. And I didn't call in for that. There's been a delay in first world quality housing because previous progressive Democrats pulled a fast one and put restrictions on for-profit developers, denying them higher levels in housing buildings and commercial multi-use buildings, denying more enjoyable, livable amenities, and then disincentivize them to even bother building, because if you build a 3-story, most of the expense comes from the foundation. Once you get the foundation, the higher you go, the more revenue you can generate to offer those affordable housing units. Yet the city council of the past encouraged developers to pay into the MHA fee fund. And then they changed the law and said only nonprofits who happen to be politically connected are given access to $1.3 billion and more. Of nonprofits that are not qualified to build first world quality homes. And so we have a tainted, unconstitutional, comprehensive plan that needs to be improved to incentivize for-profit developers to 21st century first world quality build out with robust floor plans that provide a bunch of affordable housing. And we have, because Otherwise, it's going to be a whole bunch of slum projects that are warehouse echoes. And we need to have an understanding that noise abatement within inner city transit-oriented housing is got to be a priority. Just like if you have a development and you're going to negatively impact the whole community, that developer not only has to have 2 full shifts, or at least a legitimate full shift, properly paid, but you have to have noise abatement walls. Like, have you ever been to like the Washington, D.C. area, and they got that roaring beltway that has all those 30-foot wall heights of noise abatement that allows for a reprieve for all these residential units that will be overwhelmed by all this toxic soot?
Thank you. That was our last remote speaker.
Thank you very much. We've reached the end of the list of registered speakers, so the public comment period is now closed. Thank you, everybody, for your comments today. All right, if there's no objection, the introduction and referral calendar will be adopted. Seeing none, the introduction and referral calendar is adopted. If there's no objection, the agenda will be adopted. All right, hearing no objection, the agenda is adopted. We'll now consider the proposed consent calendar, and the items on the consent calendar are the minutes of February 25th, 2025, Council Bill 120944, payment of bills, 12 appointments from the Housing and Human Services Committee, and 1 appointment from the Parks, Public Utilities and Technology Committee. Are there any items that council members would like removed from the consent calendar? All right, hearing none, I move to adopt the consent calendar. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. It's moved and seconded to adopt the consent calendar. Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the consent calendar?
Councilmember Saka?
Aye.
Councilmember Strauss?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollingsworth?
Yes.
Councilmember Kettle?
Aye.
Councilmember Moore? Councilmember Rink?
Aye.
Councilmember Rivera?
Aye.
Council President Nelson?
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
Thank you. The consent calendar items are adopted. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the minutes and legislation on the consent calendar on my behalf? All right, moving on to committee reports. Item 1, will you please read item 1 into the record?
The report of the Housing and Human Services Committee, Agenda Item 1, Council Bill 120943, relating to multifamily housing property tax exemption program, allowing partial property tax exemptions for commercial to multifamily housing conversion projects, allowing the property tax exemption period to be extended for 24 years for properties with multifamily housing property tax exemptions, expiring end of 2025. The committee recommends the bill pass.
Okay, Councilmember Moore, as chair of the committee, you're recognized to provide the background.
Yeah, thank you very much, Council President. So Council Bill 120943 extends the sunset date for the current multifamily tax exemption credit program. This program was set to sunset on March 31st, 2025, and Council Bill 120943 extends that sunset date to be September 10th of this year, 2025. This gives the Office of Housing ample time to reflect feedback from stakeholders and the final commissioned MFTE evaluation final report from UW Professor Greg Colburn. We are anticipating the legislation enacting the new Program 7 of MFTE will be heard in the Housing and Human Services Committee mid-summer. The committee voted unanimously to recommend passage of Council Bill 120943, and I would ask for your support today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments about this legislation? All right, hearing none. Will the clerk please call the roll on the passage of the bill?
Councilmember Saka?
Aye.
Councilmember Strauss?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollingsworth?
Yes.
Councilmember Kettle?
Aye.
Councilmember Moore?
Aye.
Councilmember Rink?
Yes.
Councilmember Rivera?
Aye.
Council President Nelson?
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
Thank you. The bill passes and the chair will sign it. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf? All right. Will the clerk please read item 2 to the record?
The report of the Parks, Public Utilities, and Technology Committee, Agenda Item 2, Resolution 32164, relating to Seattle Parks and Recreation, authorized Superintendent of Parks and Recreation to act as the authorized representative/agent on behalf of the City of Seattle and to legally bind the City of Seattle with respect to certain projects for which the city seeks grant funding assistance managed through the Washington State Recreation and Conservation Office. The committee recommends the resolution be adopted.
All right, Councilmember Hollingsworth, as my favorite chair of the committee, would you please provide the committee report?
Oh, favorite chair. Thank you, Council. Is it favorite chair for all
I'm
the
just
committees?
taking my cues from.
Did my colleagues hear that? Favorite chair. Thank you. No, I'm just playing. Thank you,
She said.
Parks. Okay. Well, I didn't hear the 4 parks. I just heard favorite chair. Thank you, President. So this is and I thank you to our clerk for reading this in, so I won't repeat it, but this is for our Seattle parks to go out and get grant funding from our state. I will read some of the projects, great projects that are going to be written for grant approval from our state. Discovery Park, South Beach Trail development, also the Bill Wright Golf Complex at Jefferson Park Youth Learning Facility. It's a golf complex, used to be called Jefferson, now Bill Wright Golf Complex. Also the upper Dr. Jose Rizal section to enhance amenities and overall experience for visitors as well. So that park, Evans Pool, it's going to be, they're going to demolish it, and also reconstruction of Green Lake Swimming Pool. Judkins Park, that's going to be redevelopment of 2 public restrooms, inclusive playground, spray park. And it was really, there was an article that came out about Judkins Park, and so it's going to be really cool. Also the Northwest Native Canoe Center as well, and then also the boat launch renovation, which is a redevelopment of a 60-year-old boat launch as well. So a lot of really cool projects that are happening around the city, and this passed 5 in favor, none opposed, and I urge my colleagues to be able to support it. Thank you.
Thank you for that summary. Is there any question or comment from a council member here? All right. I'm hearing no questions or comments, so will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the resolution?
Councilmember Saka,
Aye.
Councilmember Strauss,
Yes.
Councilmember Hollingsworth,
Yes.
Councilmember Kettle,
Aye.
Councilmember Moore,
Aye.
Councilmember Rink,
Yes.
Councilmember Rivera,
Aye.
Council President Nelson.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
All right, the resolution is adopted and the chair will sign it. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf? All right, moving on. There were no items removed from the consent calendar, and there's not a resolution for introduction and adoption today. Is there any further business to come before council? Looking at Councilmember Moore, go ahead, please.
Hey, thank you, Council President. So I'll just take a moment of personal privilege here. So I understand last week that there were some comments made in a public forum relating to a list of tech billionaires who are listed as referenced as being smart innovators. And while they may be smart innovators, I think there's some other things that's important for the public to be aware of who they are. So I'd just like to note that Peter Thiel, who was called out, has publicly stated that women should not have the right to vote. Just let that sink in, my colleagues. We should not have the right to vote. Peter Thiel, called out as a smart innovator. Mark Anderson tweeted last month, quote, "I am so old, I remember when doxing and threatening federal employees was considered bad," unquote. A smart billionaire, tech innovator. David Sachs tweeted today, quote, "To a person, all the billionaires that I've met serving in government, and we know how many there are, just look at all of us, are doing it for one reason. They absolutely love the country, and we do. And they want to make it great again. To do that, we have to drain the swamp and the massive government corruption that is in plain sight. I suppose he's referencing the corruption at the Federal Aviation Administration. I'm supposing he's referencing the corruption at the Federal Emergency Management Agency. I suppose he's referencing the corruption at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. I suppose he's referencing the corruption at the Social Security Administration, and on and on and on. And the last billionaire, tech, social, smart innovator that was called out, who our president surrounds himself with, is Elon Musk. And I don't think I need to say more about Elon Musk. We see the carnage that he is wreaking on our society and our people every single day. People who are going to be hungry, people who are going to be homeless, people who are not going to have a job that they've dedicated their life to. We are going to see more people get ill, more children die of measles and other preventable, easily preventable diseases, more people who are not able to protect and engage in improving the general welfare of this country because of the actions of imbeciles like Elon Musk. And so I think as leaders, it's important when we are calling out others that we be mindful about who they are in their totality and not who they are in a very narrow sliver. Because who they are in their totality, places all of us at great risk in these days unless we step up to them locally, in the county, at the state, and most importantly, at the federal government. And so thank you, Council President, for giving me this opportunity to take a moment of point of privilege, because it is important that every single day we call out what is happening in this country to our citizens and the systemic attack on us and all of us who serve here. The incredible racism, misogynism, all of that, in addition to everything else. I have close friends who live on Social Security. Without Social Security, they will be homeless. They will be hungry. And yet we don't see people standing up against these billionaire techies. This is a call to action. We must act this way as leaders and in our personal lives as well. Thank you very much, Council President.
Thank you for those comments. Councilmember Strauss.
Thank you, Council President. Yeah, I am, excuse me. I'm here to request leave on April 8th and April 15th to attend to Sister City delegation duties.
Okay. I am opening the floor for objection for leave. Seeing none, Councilmember Strauss, you are excused from those dates.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other items of business to come before us or anything that anybody would like to talk about? All right. Then this concludes the business for today. We've reached the end of today's agenda, and our next regularly scheduled City Council meeting is on March 11th at 2 p.m., and it is 2:27, and this meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone.